Zakham here at Subverse Radio, and now today I am joined by one of the biggest music producers to come out of the UK. He smashed it here. He was a pioneer in what he was doing. We're going to talk about that in a little while, but he's continued to ride that wave. He's in the motherland. He's been there for quite a few years, still giving us a fantastic music. Here to talk about his brand new single is Rishi Rich. Hi, Rishi.
Hi, Pam. How are you?
Hi, I'm really well, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to speak to us, because of course you're an Apanamunda. You're from here, from this mitti. This is where you've smashed it, and you've got a lot of fans here. Including myself. I have followed your music for many years. It's taken me through college. In fact, I'd say school, college, uni, and beyond. Always tuned in. I'm going back to VR1 days now. I've been a fan. And listening to your mixes since VR1 days. And when I say we used to listen to them, I mean, we used to blast them out. This is student houses. Everybody in the local neighborhood could hear it. That's how hooked we got. But you're still keeping us hooked. You're still giving us these hits. So you're here to talk to us about your latest track, which is Zakham. What a mix. Yeah. Tell us about it.
Zakham was something which, I think if people know my sound, I always loved this whole blend of, taking obscure Hindi samples that maybe people haven't heard, and, and just blending it with hip hop and R&B and things like that. And it was just a vibe I put together. I mean, it was actually my friend Kirani who played me the sample, and she's like, listen to this sample. And I heard the song and I was like, I've never heard this before.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people haven't heard it.
It's one of those undercover ones, isn't it?
Yeah. And I was like, okay, you know what? Let me try this, because I quite liked it. And I just started, sampling it, putting a beat around it. And then I had the beat and I had everything, and I didn't kind of know where to go with it. And, I reached out to a few rappers to see who would sit well on it, and everyone loved it. But I really wanted someone that was quite easy on the tongue in that, so you could just make out what he's saying. And Rush Tour is someone that I've worked with previously, and I love the way his diction comes out. Like he throws a few Punjabi words in there, and you can understand what he says, and it just suited the vibe, And then we did the video 2 weeks ago, and that's come out today. So it's really early days, but the response we've been getting from everyone is like, okay, this sounds. Everyone loves it. Everyone seems to be really liking it.
Yeah, totally. And as you're saying, it's an undercover track that you've used on there. It's from the film Zakham. Asha Bonslay's vocals on there. Neelam was in the video of that one. But I had never come across it either. So when I heard this, I was like, where is this from? I had to go digging to try and find it. But you've also, you mentioned, of course, Rush Tour and the way you've brought him in with the rapping, and that just fits perfectly. You've got it to fit like a glove with that sample. But also, the thing that blew me away about this track was you've also put in the amazing, where did that come from? Where did you get the inspiration? What made you think I'm putting that in?
So I've got a bank of samples that a lot of producers we have a bank of samples that are free to use. And I've had this bank of samples for years. It's a Qawwali bank, of all popular folk Qawwali kind of songs. Yeah. And I heard this, and I love this song anyway. And it just made sense with the whole, I just started fitting it together, and it just worked. Because in my mind, I had this, I don't know if you remember this song called Let the Music Play by Shamur.
Yes.
That came out years ago, and it was no artist, it was just let the music play. Oh, no, it was that, right? And I was, in my mind, I had that vision. I was like, I want to make a song, I want to make a track, which is not really revolved around a singer or an artist. It's just revolved around music and vocals and samples. And I think that hasn't been done since Shamur. I think Tiger Style did it a couple of years ago. And when I found that sample, I was like, this really fits. It makes sense with what's going on. And I put it, I just put it in. And it's only after I do what I do that I get the response that I kind of, see. Like, you're not the first person who actually said, we have to dig for it, or we love the way the Qawwali sample comes in. I love that, and for me, it's just a natural thing. You know, I sit in this room day in, day out, just sampling and working, and you know, that's all I do. And everyone just, even when people look at my Instagram, they go, "We don't see, all we see is your studio. That's it."
Yeah.
You know.
But you
Yeah.
live, work, and breathe music. And it kind of reminds me of, like how a normal person like myself would put a jigsaw puzzle together, put these different pieces together. It's like you're putting these different pieces of music together and just creating a new sound, a new fusion, and taking it to another level. And when I heard that Gowali sample come in, I was just like, oh my days, I couldn't believe that you had fitted that in there perfectly. So this is something that we are playing on repeat here at Subbrush Radio. It's something,
Yeah.
it's a catchy tune. It's one of those where it's going to go for all age groups. It's just it. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank
Thank you
you.
for
Thank you. I
giving
mean,
us.
so Brass was one of the first radio stations. I remember when I was in Too Cool, when I used to come to Leicester, that you guys from day one, literally from day one, have always supported, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're about. And that's why it's great that, we're going full circle and you're back here talking to all your fans, because you have got a lot of fans here, Rishi. You're from the UK. You're one of the people that we are proud of to have made it, to have broken through, and to have gone to the motherland. You mentioned earlier on when we were chatting that you are in Mumbai and you've been there for 5 years. What made you leave here and go there?
Well, before I left, before I arrived in Mumbai, I actually moved to America. So I went to Atlanta, you know. So
Right.
I moved to Atlanta just to kind of explore music. I think for me, what it was, I kind of felt like I had hit a glass ceiling in the UK.
Yeah.
You know, like I'd worked with everyone that I really wanted to work with,
Yeah.
all the legends. You know, I worked, and it was such a humbling experience, like to be part of the whole UK scene. But I've always been that kind of person where I constantly just want to be inspired, you
Yeah.
know. And I think, you know, maybe obviously I think Jay had moved to America, and you know, I was thinking, okay, I'll go to America and see what happens. And America was cool. It wasn't exactly what I thought it would be. And I just felt like, okay, what I'm gonna do is I had this opportunity come from this director called Mohit Suri, who was a friend of
Right.
mine, and he was working on Half Girlfriend.
Yes.
And he messaged me and he was like, I would love you to do a song on the film, and I'm a big fan. And you know, and I started to work on on some ideas in Atlanta, but it wasn't clicking, you know. And then so then Mohit came to New York and he was like, look, let's just meet, because I'd never met him.
Yeah.
You know, and I flew to New York from Atlanta, which was like 2 hours. And you know, I said to him, look, this is what, and I was going through a little bit of a personal kind of situation where I just needed to kind of go somewhere, not start again, but just be by myself. And he was like, come to
Yeah.
Mumbai. It was literally like, come to Mumbai, you know, we'll get you a place temporary, you can set a studio up. And that's exactly what I did. I literally came, I flew back to London, and, you know, I sorted myself out. I was in a bit of a weird space, and I just moved to, I left for Mumbai 2016 in June.
Yeah.
Um, and, you know, and then I worked on Half Girlfriend, and I slowly started meeting people. What resonated with me was that everyone, and still probably everyone knows my name. Not many people know what I look like, but everyone knows the name. You know,
Yeah.
it's that brand that I've respectfully, I think, built, and you know,
Yes.
through music and stuff. So people are like, wow, you're in India, I'm working on this, I'm working on this. And you know, and then I met Ankur Tiwari, who was doing, he was a music supervisor for Gully Boy, and he was like, you're going to be perfect for this film because of your beats and everything. And I was like, fine. He goes, I go, let me just submit you some music. So I had spent like 6 months when I got to Mumbai just working on beats and working on ideas, and I submitted so much stuff. And Zoya loved you know, a lot of it, and she ended up using 3 of the songs. And I did Doody, you know, on Gully Boy. Then from there I moved on, and I met Sunny Deol, and I did Pal Pal Dil Ke Paas. I did the whole soundtrack, and that years
Amazing
just went
track.
by. Yeah, so years just went by, and I, you know, I kind of signed to Universal Music, which was great. And then 2 years ago, I just thought, okay, I'm here now. And I got my own place, and I got my apartment, and I got my studio, and then I set up my label with Kirani and Richard, my partners, you know. And it's been an amazing time, you know. And the good thing was that I think everyone started to realize that I'm back in my zone where I'm just working. And if you notice, everyone was flying in. Jay flew in. We did
Yeah.
Nakare, you know. So a lot was going on. and that was it. And you never know. Like now, I think recently I've been feeling okay. I do miss London.
Yeah.
I miss like driving. I miss having a car and stuff. So I just go where I'm inspired. And I've been really inspired and lucky to be here. And I think it shows in the music, especially recently. Like the next few singles we got coming up from the label, like Zakham is one. We've got another three, which I think people are gonna be really like I'm really going to enjoy what I've been working on, and I've just finished working on my album as well, so that's
Wow.
really interesting. Yeah,
so it's like Christmas come early, right? This is a real treat for us.
yeah, and I think COVID played a lot of part of that. I mean, I don't really go out too much, but I think I've been literally here for like stuck, not I wouldn't say stuck, but we haven't been able to leave for a year and a half, so all I've been doing is just working, and I've kind of got used to that, where I kind of don't want to socialize now. I just want to work.
Yeah, you're just completely immersed in the music and what's coming through, and putting it all together and giving us some great tracks. And you've always done that. I mean, you mentioned then that you worked with all the top people here in the UK, and you were one of the pioneers of Asian R&B fusion, bringing it together, whether it was the Bhangra remixes, whether it was the Hindi remixes. And that's what's so refreshing about when we're listening to Zakham now, is it's taking me right back, it's taking me right back to your early days and some of the stuff you were releasing then. And it's got that same magic. And there's not many people that can do that so many years on, still have that same magic coming out in the music. And it's definitely there. But it's really interesting to hear your journey, because if we look at like our parents' generation and stuff, they left the motherland, they adjusted, they came here, they set things up for us here. You've left here and gone over there. You've done it the other way around. What was that like, just even in terms of on a practical level, adjusting, being born and bred here in Britain to, obviously you mentioned driving. It's a very different system. Everything is a very different system in terms of what we're used to here. What was that transition like? What was the one thing that made you go, whoa? But when you think, okay, I've got this now.
One thing about me, I think I've always loved traveling, and I've got such an open mind about things. I mean, coming back to India, there's this nostalgic kind of, and the thing is, I love, as much as I love like Punjabi music, but I love like I love R.D. Burman. I've grown up on R.D. Burman, and knowing that I'm in Mumbai and I live like 10 minutes away from Asha Bhosle or something, it kind of gives me a little bit of this nostalgic feeling. So I came here with just like I was open, like, let's do this. It doesn't matter. Like, I've had the luxuries, in London. I had cars and I had, this amazing stuff, and it was great. And for me, it was like, okay, well, I just want to just be in a different place. Like, I haven't driven a car for 5 years, and I'm such a car enthusiastic. But I was just like, okay, this is cool, and it's so weird because my friends here, like everyone has like house help who like my family now, and I talk to my friends. I'm like, listen, I moved out when I was 21. I've learned to cook, clean, and we do everything ourselves. We're not used to all this, so it's kind of like there was a few things which that was weird for me as well, so, but it was good because what I kind of found, you see, the reason why I came here was to kind of do some soul searching, in the sense where I was going through like a divorce, and I kind of wanted to be in a situation where, like, I don't have any bad vibes with anyone, but I just wanted to reconnect with myself. And I think I did that through meeting new people, going on this journey of, okay, let's see what I can do in India. And if it doesn't work, it's fine. I'll always go back. I've always got my house in Harrow, and it's not a problem, and I'll always be a Harrow boy, and I'll always be a London boy, and London will always be my home. And it's fun, it's been really fun living in India, the nightlife, meeting people. I don't really get involved in too much of the industry stuff, because here it's, I think, like, I've never been in the industry. And I was speaking to a friend of mine today, and I was saying to her that I've never been a fame chaser. It's never been that for me, if it was, you would see me like in the videos, you would see me kind of, and that's not saying that's what, as a producer, I've just always wanted to be in the studio and be inspired. So, I love the fact that, and, as soon as I got here, I was like, okay, I'm going to have chart, I'm going to have all this stuff that I love, butter chickens and everything like that. So, and I'm a foodie as well. So it was kind of like, okay, I really enjoyed being here, and it was never going to be a permanent thing. It was always going to be when I feel like, okay, now what's next? Now where can I go? Because I feel like, I've dedicated half my most of my life to music. So now it's kind of like, and working with new artists and, giving back to the scene, So yeah, it's been great. And the good thing is that a lot of my friends who were against India, because a lot of people that have grown up in UK or Canada or America kind of like, nah, we're not too sure. But when they come here, they're like, oh, your apartment looks very modern and it's really cool. And, where you live, the bars and everything's really modern. And I mean, everything's great, in Mumbai. Mumbai is such a electric city,
Yeah.
so it's been cool.
Yeah, it sounds like it's been a total adventure. And what comes to mind is, the lyrics of that song, wherever I lay my hat, that's my home. You're just going with it, and you're just going where you get a sense to be, and just to create new sounds and new music and connecting with new people. But you mentioned then about supporting new artists as well. So, going back, whether it was the days of Veronica, Juggy D, Jay Sean, Mumsy, now there's a new wave coming through. I know you've worked with Yash previously, Rush Tour in this one, you worked with him before, but Jagdar Dula, he's also in the video of this track as well, isn't he?
So he was actually, he flew into Mumbai because we've actually taken him on as like a new artist that I'm developing. And obviously he worked on Dusted 2, which was my first track for the label last year. Then he worked on Lost, which we did with him and Mumsy. And I was like, come to India once, the borders kind of open up again, and let's start working on some music. And he was here, and, Richard, who's my label partner, was directing the video, and he was like, we're looking for someone to be in it. I'm like, Jagdar's here, put him in it. It'll be really cool. I think because I think that really reminds me of like how the hip hop and R&B scene have always had maybe artists in videos, but not necessarily being the artist of the song.
I love the way you did
so
that
for me was really,
I love the way you did that, because it wasn't just like you just got a model and put him in. I mean, the man could be a model, but he's also this amazing singer, this new artist that you're working with, so it just fitted perfectly. I got a bit of a surprise actually when I saw the video. I was like, oh, I'm sure that's Jagdar there, but no, that was a nice added bonus to that track.
And he enjoyed it. I didn't even pressure him. I said, look, would love you to be in it, and I think it'd be really cool. And and he was like, let's do it. So we literally shot the video like 2 weeks ago.
Wow. So what's next then, Rishi? Are you going to make that move back here, or are you staying put there?
I think I will be making a move back. I'm not sure when. It all depends. Now I've got the label, I really want to kind of explore running the label from different places, meeting new artists. But for now, it's all about kind of lining up my music. I've got another 2 or 3 singles lined up, which I can't wait for people to hear. And I think, my work ethic has always been that, like I'm always just working. So I just want to put as much music out as I can. And I am coming to London soon in December. After I'm going to be spending like Christmas with my mum. After I haven't spent it with my mum for 9 years, I think. Because I've been traveling. So that will be quite cool, and and then I'll see what happens. But yeah, it's been really cool working on the singles, working on my album. I'm currently doing something else for Netflix as well, because I did Bad Boy Billionaire. I did the title song for that. So so just keeping busy. And I think the main thing is that, one, you've got to be in a place where you enjoy what you're doing, and this is a great place. I look forward to kind of maybe making music in London again soon.
Well, what you're doing is proud, Rishi, wherever in the world you might be. At the moment, the quality of sounds that you are producing, as I mentioned with these tracks, Zakham, it's just on another level. We're loving it. So if that's where you need to be to keep producing that kind of music, or maybe it is going to be you come here for Christmas and something happens and we've got a new sound coming out. This is something that you've always done, and I love the way that you just go with the flow. And it's funny you should say you're going to be here for Christmas, because I think the UK is definitely the place to be for Christmas, isn't it? It's one of those magical places. And if people are watching this and they're not from the
Yeah.
UK, they might think, hey, but it's one of those places where there's a real buzz in the air at Christmas time, where everybody, regardless of your beliefs, is celebrating. So it's definitely something to experience. But we look forward to having you back here in the UK. And you mentioned that you've got a whole load of new tracks coming out and an album. Are they coming out on this side of Christmas,
Yes.
or are they coming out next year? What's the plan with them?
I mean, I've got at least 2 or 3 new tracks coming out. Album, I'm trying to see if we can get it out before the new year. Otherwise, it would just be after. But yeah, it's at least it's done. It's taken me so many years to complete that as well.
That's perfect. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us here today at Subblush Radio. And is there anything that you would like to say to your UK fans?
It's not everything. I always say the same thing. Just thank you for always supporting, and it's been a great journey. And I love the way people just honestly have just supported the sound from day one, like you said, from Too Cool VR1 days, the people who've actually come with me on this journey, from there. So thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for all the magical music that you're giving us.